back to the channel, Forewarned Forearmed. It's your local S2, boarding back in for duty after nearly a year off. So it's been a big year for me personally, with a lot of things going on in my life, not only my work and also my health. So that's probably the reason why I haven't been online for so long. I haven't made any videos for the channel. I do apologise. However, this year we'll hopefully get some more videos out for you and get that going. So, let's jump into it. I have come up with this. Now, I know a lot of people out there are sitting there going, Soviets for late war, Flames of War is definitely on the cusp of a lot of people saying it was not playable, especially in the competitive scene. However, lo and behold, we did get a really good Christmas present from Battlefront. Thank you so much for that. Dynamic Points Late War was dropped with the latest updated info, and it was also put onto Forces as well for list building. So, without further ado, let's have a look at the list I've come up with. So, I believe this is going to be one of the competitive builds I think you can do for Soviets. This is my opinion. You can run with it, you can run without it. I think when it comes to Soviets, you need to look at every single little thing that goes into them and then figure the strengths of what their units are and maximize on that. So for this, I've taken 3 formations. So good luck trying to get me on formation morale breaks for this list. It's probably nigh impossible. You have 17 units in this list. This is nearly as big as those Berlin infantry units lists. And on top of that, you got plenty of artillery to deal with those lists as well in this one. So, let's have a look. First off, we've got which books are we using? That is probably the biggest one. So, books-wise, I've used from Berlin and Bagration. Both combined, I think Bagration gives you the benefit of having better command cards than the Berlin book. So that's why I've gone with Bagration, and you'll see why in a second. So, starting off with, I've built it using a T-70 reconnaissance company for the tanks. That gives me 10 T-70s straight off the bat. The good thing about them is we'll get back into the stats later. So that's first formation, and then I have 2 forward formations. One using the Berlin book, and another one using the command card from Bagration. Both are identical. Both infantry units have been upgraded with RPG-6s. So, continuing on, we've got those 2 formations that are exactly the same, and then we go into our support. Yes, we've also got the 76mm artillery, but it's there for a reason. I like the artillery, it gives me access to an observer. It also allows me to have 4 units that can spot, so my 3 company commanders plus an observer. So that way, regardless of wherever I'm on the table, I can always spot for artillery, or always have line of sight to a target for any of my artillery units, which is crucial for Soviets, I believe. And rounding off the list, we have the decoy tank company with 3 Panthers. I think when it comes to it, it's the best bang of the buck. Like, if you want, you can go IS-2s with the same armor for a point less, but you don't get that rate of fire 2 that you do with the Panthers. Yes, you will get tanks that are marginally better with tactics to get that rate of fire blitz move, I guess, like to move up 4 inches and still fire. But rate of fire 1 really hurts those 122s. So Panthers makes sense. You can still move and fire. Rate of fire 2 standing still. Snipering wave with Panthers, fine, and that's exactly what they do. Plus the added bonus is you get spearhead with those guys. So they can really get you to creep up with a lot of your units, especially given the fact that you do have SMG companies which are only short range. Moving into like the units themselves, I think, yes, with Soviets you've got to accept the fact that you're not going to have smoke. You're always going to be hit on 3+. You've just got to deal with it. But that's the whole point of Soviets. It's quantity over quality. Most of the other nations in Flames of War are going to have quality troops, but they're not going to have the quantity that you have as a Soviet player. And this is why I'm saying, as a Soviet player, you need to look at maximizing everything that you can get into a list. So, if we look at it, those two forward formations, I did take 4 Hero T-34 85s, which are basically Sherman 76s for 15 points. You can't go wrong with taking T-34 85s in this game, especially at that cost. They're a no-brainer. So, if we look at the rest of the unit, everything apart from those Panthers is either trained or veteran, which is decent. And again, for morale, you're going to have good morale for Soviets. They're pretty decent. They're all confident or fearless, depending on which unit, due to the commissars in there, especially with the SMG teams. However, I think it is of note that having that crafty rule for the hero units, which means all my tanks, apart from my Panthers, are going to have that important tactics skill set. So it means I can scoot and shoot and blitz on a 3+ rather than a 4. That is across the board monumental, especially with that movement 12 of your T-34s. You can get them nice and close and blitz into cover if you need to get them out of the way. So that's one thing to think about is when building Soviets. It's like, is it worth the points to upgrade to heroes rather than trying to get a bucket load of tanks? And at the same time, it is yes. You always want to try and get heroes, because I think when it comes to it in a competitive surrounding, having a bit more of a skill to do certain things like blitz and shoot and scoot is beneficial. 9 times out of 10 you'll take that over anything else, which is why I've got another list planned, but that's for the Brits. We'll do that in another video. So again, you've got all your stats here. You can read them yourself if you like. Leave them up there so you have time. I think it's important to note that this list does have a lot of stuff, and it gives you so much versatility. Now, when you look at most of the competitive meta lists out there, I think the half-track spam, that's going to go away. It's too expensive to run, and if you do run it, it'll only be a few units now, backed up by some units that most people probably don't normally play anymore. So the meta shift, thanks to late war, is going to be a bit different than what we're all used to. I think Berlin infantry units spam will stay the same. There's no change to that. I think we just got to find ways to deal with it. The only good thing now is you can't really couple that with the half-track spam. So that's the good thing about this list. There's plenty of units in there to deal with all those cheap infantry units, to get rid of them. Like the T-70s, it's like there's a bucketload of T-70s. There's 16 of them. That is heaps of machine gun shots. And then on top of that, that's what you want. You want all that machine gun fire going on there. And if you have to deal with half traffics or anything with, 85 and lower, the T-70s are perfect. The higher AT things such as Tiger 2s, they're still the same points, so they're still quite expensive, especially with the Tank Training Company ones and any others, you are going to face them, but at the same time, you have enough of everything else to deal with everything else first before worrying about Tiger 2s. I don't know why people get so caught up and go, oh crap, it's a Tiger 2. It's like any other tank. You deal with it. Flank it and spank it. I don't know how to press on that, Always flank it and spank it. People go, oh yeah, no, that's easier said than done. It's like, well, look at what you've got. Look at what units can do that and maximize the efforts to do that. You're talking about 2 to 3 tanks that are going to be on the table that is going to literally either take up a quarter or a third of your opponent's points. And it's most likely also going to probably be their reserve drop. So always look at your options, and that's why as a Soviet player it's quantity over quality. However, what I've maximized is both quantity and quality, taking the best units we've got in the book and combining them together and giving you a formations that can do everything that you want. So that's the other thing, with the stats of them. You've got all the good stuff there. For artillery, plenty of options to pin infantry. I don't know how many times I need to say it. Pinning infantry is better than killing infantry. Keeping their heads down, away from objectives. It also allows you to get those really good units such as the SMG teams in for the assault. Come on, 2+ to hit an assault once they go in, if they're fully strength when they go in against pinned infantry, it's like goodbye. It's like it'll just wipe out units. But you need to maximize trying to get them there and hold your objectives. So that's why you got plenty of things to hold your objectives. You can use the 270s to hold objectives. You can use whatever you want to hold objectives. There's 2 objectives in most games. You've got 17 units to choose from to hold objectives. That's why the artillery's there. You can put the artillery near an objective and keep them close. You know, there's plenty of mortars that put near objectives if you want them that way. But I normally don't. But it's just a thing you can do if you wanted to. So, in summary, I think dynamic points has made a great change to the Soviets. It's given them a new lease of life, a new purpose, and I think competitive-wise, I think going forward, I think this is going to be my list for the year, for what I'll probably take to any Flames of War tournament. Unless I get greedy and go back to my usual self of playing Brits, because I just love crocodiles. But that's just me. So, I hope you had a Merry Christmas, because I know I did. I look forward to seeing you all in the new year with some more videos. As always, happy hunting.